Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a horror comedy film, Fright Night Part 1. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins inside a house, where the TV is playing an ad about a vampire hunter. Then we shift to the news, where a reporter talks about a strange man approaching a woman to fight her, probably to show off his muscles. A good boy dog roams around the house, but then a boy named Adam is thrown away like an adult toy from his room, while a vampire attacks his family. Adam runs upstairs in a state of panic, while the good boy dog gets scared and makes a hasty escape as fast as a chicken riding a Tesla bike. Adam hides under his bed to cover his body smell, where we can see more corpses, presumably his parents. Adam loads a hidden gun, but the corpse next to him is dragged away, and then he drops a piece of his gun. The vampire picks up the piece and flips the bed, so it can be safely assumed that Adam is now chilling with Jesus. The scene then shifts to daytime, where a young boy named Charley is talking to his new blonde neighbor named Blonde, whose blonde body captivates him. He is interrupted by his mom, who is also blonde but a bit grumpy. Mom tells Charley to avoid distractions, but he can't help his peeping eyes. She then asks him about his girlfriend, Babe, who is coming to pick him up as his bike is useless, probably because it isn't a Tesla bike. Mom and Charley also talk about their new neighbor, who has a suspicious amount of concrete on display. Mom wants to spy on the neighbor, but then Babe shows up with her girl gang. Before Charley leaves, Mom mentions his friend, Nerd, who keeps calling him. However, Charley has no interest in seeing him and is driven to school, where he and Babe meet a stud boy and his buddies. Stud boy teases Charley for his choice of coffee, but Babe has to go for class, so Charley asks her about prom. Babe reassures him that he doesn't need to stress about it, and then Stud Boy tells Charley that he has been blessed by the hormone gods for having a sexy girlfriend like Babe. Charley shows off some Sigma male energy and heads to class, but Adam is missing during attendance, and Nerd is also staring at Charley. Nerd wants to go check up on Adam, but Charley says he's busy. Basically, since Charley is hanging out with Stud Boy, he wants to abandon Nerd because he's too nerdy. However, Nerd has some nasty secrets about Charley, and he threatens to leak them if he doesn't listen. Charley agrees to go to Adam's house, but spends time with Babe and gets a tongue massage. However, he also spots Mom flirting with the hunky neighbor and gets upset. Charley and Babe meet Mom, who introduces them to the hunky neighbor named Big G. Babe is amazed by Big G's bulletproof muscles, and he seems to be a friendly man as he tries to befriend Charley. Mom had some nasty intentions for Big G, but she keeps her cool because she doesn't want any man trouble. Charley gets a threatening message from Nerd, so he quickly rushes to meet him. However, Big G strikes a shady pose and flexes his teeth muscles, suggesting he might be the antagonist. Charley meets Nerd after sunset, and they knock on Adam's door, but nobody answers. The boys make it through the doggy door, and Nerd suddenly tells Charley that Big G is actually a vampire. Charley doesn't believe him, and the boys explore the area, but find no one. Nerd gets into an argument with Charley and states that Big G will keep killing people simply to satisfy his bloodlust. He also mentions that Big G can't enter a human house unless he is invited inside and suggests going to Hunter for help because he has studied vampire lore. The boys continue to argue, but Nerd goes too far when he insults Babe. Charley pushes Nerd to the floor and says that his life is much better now that he doesn't hang out with nerds like him. Dejected and saddened, Nerd goes back home on his skateboard, but gets attacked by Stud Boy because he doesn't like the smell of nerds. Nerd dares Stud Boy to punch him, but uses his chicken powers to climb over a fence and escape. Unfortunately, Nerd stumbles into Big G, so he quickly breaks into his house for safety. However, Big G casually enters the house and reveals it is abandoned, so he doesn't need an invitation. Nerd runs upstairs and quietly climbs out of the window, after which he jumps into the pool. However, Big G is waiting there for him, so he uses a holy cross as his last resort. Nerd's holy powers fail as Big G taunts him, saying nobody is going to believe his stories. He proceeds to flex his vampire fangs and bites into Nerd, ending his nerdy life. The next day, Charley watches some past videos with Nerd and Adam, but gets called to school by Babe. Nerd is absent during class, so Charley becomes suspicious and visits his parents to see if he's at home. That doesn't happen to be the case, so Charley goes to Nerd's room and checks out all of his vampire research, which includes Hunter's websites. That's when Charley comes across some videos and notices that Big G is invisible when recorded on a camera. This spurs his suspicion even further, and he bumps into Big G later. He asks Charley to set him up with some beer because he has a girl coming over. Charley agrees, but exercises caution and doesn't invite Big G inside his house. He accidentally drops some beer, and Big G offers to help with it, but Charley maintains that he can do it himself. After awkwardly handing over the beer to Big G, Charley is told that both his mom and Babe are ripe for hormone yoga sessions. Big G tells Charley that he must protect the women in his life, after which he leaves. Charley goes back to his room, where Babe is waiting with flaming desires, high and dry. She wants to wrestle her muscles with Charley, but he's distracted because of his recent interaction with Big G. Babe is confused by Charley's behavior, but eventually convinces him to taunt and massage her. However, Charley hears the doorbell and peeps outside his window like a peeping Tom. Here, he realizes that Big G has invited Blonde for a colored hormone yoga session, soon to become a vampire feeding session. Charley acts hysterical, and it annoys Babe, so she leaves him and walks away. Charley is livid with himself, but he gets confirmation on Big G when he hears Blonde screaming for help. Charley reports to the cops that Big G is a vampire, but he manages to sort out the issue using his smooth words. Charley watches Big G leave in his truck, so he takes this opportunity to sneak into his house. A tense sequence follows as Charley explores Big G's house and calls out to Blonde. He comes across a strange room lined with demonic items, after which he finds a wardrobe. Charley hears Big G entering the house, so he hides inside the wardrobe and locates a secret entrance. He finds a hallway filled with different doors and locates Blonde, who is behind one of them. Charley tries his best to pick the lock, but Big G arrives, so he hides inside one of the empty rooms. Charley watches on in horror as Big G shows his vampire form and drinks Blonde's blood after biting her neck. She signals to Charley not to say a word, and then she is put back inside her room. Big G leaves the secret hallway and briefly suspects something, but walks away. It turns out that he's using people like Blonde as his feeding slaves, so Charley tries to save her, while Big G watches TV. He eventually breaks into Blonde's room and takes her away, but they hide when Big G goes to his fridge for a snack. Charley can't see Big G's reflection, and a tense sequence follows as both Charley and Blonde make an escape. However, Big G already knows about their presence and simply waits for the ugly truth to hit Charley. Blonde thanks Charley for saving her, but she bursts into flames upon exposure to sunlight. This is because she has become a vampire from Big G's bite. Charley is disturbed, so he tells his mom not to invite Big G into the house under any circumstances. She doesn't understand him, but he walks away and does some research on Hunter at school. Babe shows up to ask what's going on, but Charley ignores her and says he's watching hormone yoga videos. Babe walks away in frustration, and then Charley makes his way to one of Hunter's vampire exhibitions. We watch Hunter in the middle of his rehearsals, but he's shown to be a diva who annoys his beardless assistant. Charley meets him and says he wants to learn about vampires, so Hunter invites him to his grand room. However, Charley gets a big shock when Hunter removes his makeup and reveals that he's beardless just like his assistant. Hunter is also a fraud because he doesn't exactly know how to kill vampires. Charley isn't amused by Hunter's words, so he tells him about Big G. This annoys Hunter, so he orders Charley to get out of his house. Meanwhile, Big G finds Stud Boy and his friend spying on him, so he bites them both for a quick blood recharge. Charley prepares a wooden stake, so he is ridiculed by both his mom and Babe. He maintains that Big G cannot be invited into the house, but things suddenly go from bad to worse. Big G shows up and tells Mom that Charley has been harassing him. Despite this, Charley convinces his mom to deny Big G entry into her house. As expected, Big G takes his shovel and digs out the gas pipe leading to Mom's house. He then lights it up to destroy the house without mercy. Charley, Mom, and Babe make a quick escape in Mom's car, and Big G tries to ride Charley's bike, but realizes it's not a Tesla. He throws the bike at the car in frustration, and it almost hits Babe, but she survives. Big G reaches the team in no time in a truck, and things aren't looking good for them. Luckily, Charley manages to make his mom run over Big G, and they drive away. However, Big G sticks to the bottom of the car like Cape Fear and slashes through it. He uses his vampire hand to slam the brakes, but then a random man crashes into the car. Big G flexes his vampire form and rips open the random man's neck, so Charley confronts him with a holy cross. However, Charley doesn't have holy faith, so the cross isn't very effective against Big G. It looks like Charley is going to meet his maker, but then Mom saves him by stabbing Big G with a signpost, although she faints due to trauma from the car crash. The team escapes and attacks Big G once more, but he quickly recovers from his injuries. Now we see Hunter, who is busy not hunting vampires, but hormones from his beardless assistant. But he is a one-pump chump, and 30 seconds later, as expected, he turns to focus on hunting vampires in his mind, because he's still thinking about what Charley told him. Mom is treated at the hospital, while Charley has a word with Babe. He feels guilty about not believing Nerd, but Babe cheers him up. Now, Hunter calls Charley to his place, so he brings Babe along, after covering Mom's room with holy crosses. Hunter tells the couple that Big G is a Mediterranean vampire who is too powerful to kill. Suddenly, a package arrives for Hunter, so he invites the delivery man upstairs. However, it turns out to be Nerd, who is now a vampire. Hunter threatens him at first, but hides in a safe room, while accidentally chopping off Nerd's arm in the process. Meanwhile, Big G arrives and feasts on the security guard as he makes his way inside thanks to Nerd's invitation. Now, Vampire Nerd taunts Charley, but is smashed with a display shelf. Charley proceeds to fight him with a giant axe, but Nerd is too fast for him. Babe loads up a gun with silver bullets and is confronted by Big G, so she shoots him. However, bullets only work on werewolves, so she uses holy tap water and slows him down. Charley manages to land a strike on Nerd, but he recovers and is about to feast on him. Luckily, Babe smacks him away, and then Charley sends Vampire Nerd to meet Dracula by stabbing him with a wooden stake. Big G recovers from the holy water, so the couple runs downstairs, where people are dancing their hormones away. Unfortunately, they get separated, and Big G finds Babe. He gives her a tongue massage as Charley finds them, but the bouncer stops him from moving forward. Charley is taken away as he sees Big G biting into Babe's neck. Dejected and hopeless, Charley goes to Hunter, who is getting ready to leave. Hunter maintains that survival is the only option, but Charley wants to end Big G. Hunter reveals that his own parents were taken away by vampires, which is why he is so obsessed with them. After a brief chat, Hunter gives Charley a holy stake and says he can use it to end Big G, which will also turn all of his victims back into humans. However, the only way for this to be effective is to light Big G on fire. Charley sits next to his mom and waits for the sunrise. He then equips himself with a wide range of weapons and enters Big G's house. Charley breaks open the windows to bring in sunlight, and then he finds Babe in the hallway prison. She falls through a trapdoor, so Charley decides to follow her through it. Hunter also arrives with his hunting gear, and the men decide to team up. They follow Babe's chicken screams, but Big G arrives and throws away Hunter easily like an adult toy. He then locks Charley inside a room with Babe and taunts Hunter by saying he was the one who had killed his parents. Big G proceeds to smack Hunter's head with a pebble. A drop of blood falls from his head, and it awakens all of Big G's victims, who are now vampires, including Stud Boy. Meanwhile, Babe completes her vampire transformation and attacks Charley, but he manages to stab her sexy body and run away for his shitty life like a Ferrari horse. Charley finds the vampires feasting on Hunter, so he uses his shotgun to blast the roof and summon sunlight. Charley and Hunter hide in the sunlight, but then Big G taunts Charley by engaging in a ferocious tongue massage with Babe. With Hunter also slowly turning into a vampire, Charley acts fast and covers himself up. Hunter lights him on fire, and then he attacks Big G, thus setting him on fire as well. A tense battle follows, but Charley starts to struggle, so Hunter helps him out by shooting the roof to allow more sunlight inside. The sunlight burns Big G, and then Charley stabs him with the holy stake, sending him to Dracula for good. All the other victims turn back into humans, including Babe, who kisses Charley for his heroic actions, but without letting go of their hormones because they get interrupted by Mom and Hunter. Regardless, the movie ends with a happy ending for both Charley as well as Babe, because he is not a one-pump chump like Hunter. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.